I never thought I'd wake up one morning and feel like my entire life's work, my business, my reputation, even my own home, had been quietly hijacked by someone who'd never even set foot in my living room. But let me tell you, when the hammer finally dropped, it wasn't some dramatic villain in the night. It was just a new neighbor with a clipboard, a too bright smile, and a hunger for control that made the rest of us look like amateurs. You know what I mean? Life was solid before all that. I'd built up a respectable appliance company, took pride in treating my crew right, and ran contracts all over the state. My house, a brick colonial with navy shutters and the kind of front porch that made you feel safe, was always filled with the smell of coffee, dog fur, and WD-40. Neighbors were friendly. The HOA was barely more than a suggestion box, and things just worked. The neighborhood was that rare kind of place where you could walk your dog at midnight, leave your tools out, and trust that nobody was going to mess with your stuff. Travis, my buddy since middle school, kept the HOA running on common sense, Crocs, fishing box full of meeting notes, and zero patience for busybodies. But then, out of nowhere, Travis has a stroke. Not fatal, thank God, but enough to make him step down. He calls me from the hospital, voice half laughing. Guess what, Nick? You're about to meet the real deal. That's when Karen Williams arrived on the scene, like a storm in heels. She'd moved in 6 months back, always in some power suit, talking about brand optimization like anyone knew what the hell that meant. At first, she seemed harmless. Brought lemon squares to the potluck. Tasted fine if you didn't mind the hint of condescension. She got elected HOA president mostly because nobody else wanted the job. People figured, how bad can it be? Famous last words. 2 weeks later, everyone in the neighborhood got a letter in the mail. Not just any letter, fancy gold borders, community integrity directive across the top. Inside, a list of new bylaws. No votes, no drafts, just rules. American flag in your yard? Too aggressive. Mailbox the wrong shade of gray? Fix it. Contractor truck in your driveway? Not the image we want, sir. There was even a line banning beards longer than an inch. Something about health and visual identity standards. I'm not kidding. Even Rex, my old dog, looked at me like he thought I was making it up. Neighbors gathered on my lawn that night, clutching their violation notices like eviction papers. Mrs. Dorsey got cited for excessive garden density. The Woos were told their wind chimes clashed with community ambience. My best friend Jeff got fined for owning a hammock that draped unevenly. I said what we were all thinking, ignore it. She's one woman. But even then, I could feel it. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. A week later, a second letter arrived. Fines this time, real money, spelled out like parking tickets. $200 here. $150 there. I got dinged $50 for beard length, visual discordance. Neighbors started folding, scared to lose access to the pool, the gym, the garden. Some people started apologizing to Karen just to keep the peace. But those of us who still had fight left in us, we made a pact. No compliance, full documentation. We took photos, saved every letter, logged every fine. Then things got weird. Mailboxes disappeared overnight. Someone rolled turf over a neighbor's entire flower bed. I started getting anonymous notes. There's still time to choose the right side. Resistance is chaos. We'd crossed from HOA drama into full-on psychological warfare. Appliances I'd installed across HOA neighborhoods started breaking. Clean wires. Nowhere, too precise to be bad luck. One by one, customers in integrity communities reported sabotage, dryers failing, stoves shorting, all traced back to jobs I'd done. Someone was tanking my business, too. And then came the threats, company van with slashed tires. My office manager Diana getting an envelope with nothing but her Facebook profile and the word disloyal in red marker. My business started bleeding money. My reputation in shreds from fake reviews and anonymous complaints to the state licensing board. My friend at the agency warned me. Over 30 complaints filed in 90 days. all from the same kind of neighborhoods. Someone's coming after you. Nick, he said. My stomach dropped through the floor. But you want to know what finally broke me? It was Karen standing at the edge of my yard one evening, perfect beige suit, notebook in hand, smiling like the devil, just waiting for me to snap. I pulled the last of the holdouts together. This time, it wasn't just about fighting fines, it was about survival. Our lawyer Patricia, a former HOA bulldog, told us, document everything, don't bite. So we did. But the harassment kept coming. Trash dumped in grids on my lawn, bleach flooding Jeff's grass, Mrs. Dorsey's roses ripped up by the roots. Then late one night, a voicemail from a scared-sounding HOA temp. She said, if he won't bend, he'll burn. The next thing I knew, my workshop was on fire. I tried to fight it, but it was pointless. The flames took everything, tools, records, and worst of all, Rex, who got trapped trying to protect us. I held him in the yard while the firemen put out the last embers. And I swear that's the moment I decided there was no way in hell I was letting Karen win. After the fire, the neighborhood rallied. Every scrap of evidence, photos, emails, letters, even recordings of Karen's own words, went to Patricia. Turns out, Annette, a quiet neighbor who'd been on the review committee, still had emails where Karen talked about pressuring dissenters and fast-tracking undesirable elements out. There were payments to private contractors for enforcement, too. We took it all to court. 17 of us, suit jackets reeking of smoke and desperation, watched Patricia lay it all out. Bylaw violations, missing votes, threats, sabotage, the works. I told the judge about the fire, about losing my dog, about the campaign to wreck my business. Patricia dropped the bomb, emails from Karen herself, with lines like, let them sweat. It'll soften the weak links, and, if Nick's company folds, maybe he'll finally listen. The verdict came fast. The judge nullified the new bylaws, stripped Karen and her crew of all authority, and handed down the biggest restitution package I've ever seen. Over $1 million for my losses, hundreds of thousands more for everyone else. Karen got 12 years for willful harassment and complicity in the arson, no parole for 6. Her inner circle? Probation and permanent HOA bans. Even the HOA office became a community arts center. Now, the new president's a retired librarian named Paul. Our rules. Be neighborly. Don't mess with the hedges. My company's thriving. Calls doubled after the story made the news. The house is rebuilt, and under the old oak tree sits a small bronze statue of Rex, ears up, keeping watch for the next would-be tyrant. Every summer, I host a cookout. Neighbors, old and new, laugh about the dark days, and sometimes, just sometimes, I almost feel grateful for what we went through, because now, we know what it takes to keep a community free. And you listening, if you've ever felt powerless against someone on a power trip, remember, there's always a way to fight back, especially when you stand together. So tell me, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Drop your thoughts below, hit subscribe, and let's keep proving that no matter how hard they push, ordinary people can take back their lives.